What's up, poker people? My name's Wes, and this is my poker vlog. Today we're playing a 5-5 no limit hold'em cash game session at Texas Card House in Houston, Texas. I'm buying into the game for $4,000. Wish me luck.
This is for entertainment only. I am not a professional poker player. I'm not trying to be a poker coach. I'm trying to share the fun of the games I'm playing. Enjoy the action. You guys have asked me to show my chip stack as I go through the session. This is my starting stack minus about $100. The yellow chips are tip chips and they aren't in play. This is one of the very first hands I witnessed during this session. So we're gonna watch these two players play this hand out, and this should give you a little bit of an idea on how these games play. So pre-flop it was 50 to go, called by the small blind. On this flop, the small blind checks, and the late position player bets $60. On a king-5 flop, the small blind check raises to 125. It's a min check raise, but he's basically saying, I got a king, buddy. Late position player says, I don't care, and calls. Turn is a brick, doesn't really change much. These guys either have a king or a flush draw, and that's about it. The small blind bets 250, exactly twice the size of his check raise, and he's trying to charge the late position player to draw to his flush. But that player calls. The river's a queen and the flush draw bricks out. Small blind bets 450. He's quickly called and shows ace-10 of diamonds against ace-king. He should have picked a better spot. Now it's my turn to get in there and make some questionable plays. I straddled $10 in this hand and the cutoff raised to 50. The button called 50. The big blind called 50, and I'm definitely calling with a pocket pair, hoping to flop a set. Nope, no set. I'm just gonna check. It actually checks around, which is pretty surprising. I turn a straight draw and I have a pair. I might just have the best hand. I go ahead and bet $100. You would think if anyone had a jack, they would have bet it already. And now the cutoff, who raised pre-flop, raises to $300. Did he really flop a set of jacks? Well, the big blind calls, and I still have that straight draw, so I'm gonna call. Let's try to river a straight. Maybe he does have jacks and we win a huge pot. Well, if he has jacks, he has quads now. I know that jack is supposed to make it less likely that he has jacks. I'm just gonna check and decide, well, he ends up checking right behind, and I show my hand, and they just start grumbling and mumbling. Clearly I have the best hand. Next hand, middle position player raises to 15 and gets called by the player on his left. I look down at 6-8 suited in the big blind, and I call. I flop an 8 and I have a backdoor flush draw. If you've watched any of these episodes, you know there's no way I'm ever folding this hand. I check. Pre-flop raiser bets 30, gets called again by the player on his left, and I call. That's me! I turn an 8 and now I'm ready to check raise big, so I check. When these guys bet, I'm just gonna check raise 4x. No one's gonna believe I have an 8. I'm just gonna bomb. What just happened? Oh, a 6! A full house! I have a full house now! I'm just gonna bet a reasonable amount so that maybe a jack can call. So I bet 100 here on the river, hoping that someone with 10s, a jack. I just got raised to 300? What? Okay, maybe my dreams are coming true. What do I do? How big do I want to make this? What do you guys think? I bet 100, he bet 300. I make it 1100! Let's go! This is one of those spots in poker where you just kind of don't really think about what the guy has. You're just like, oh, you raised? Well, I'm going to re-raise because I have basically the nuts, and I hope you call. And he does call, and he's not happy. A 2K pot shipped my way. Here's an update on the chip stack as promised. Check out my clothing line, Razor Clothing, for poker t-shirts, hats, and hoodies at razorclothing.com. There's a button straddle of 25 and a raise to 75 in a flat. Before I even look at my cards, and I have pocket queens, I'm gonna bump it up to 225. I normally make it bigger in this spot, but I guess something live told me to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller, so I made it 225, where normally I would have made it probably 275 or more. The exact number of your raise doesn't really matter that much as long as you're charging them, but overall my strategy is to make it bigger, and I often get called anyway, so I just end up getting more money in the pot when I have a premium hand. Surprisingly, in this hand, it was the button who called. He cold called my 3-bet and the other players folded. So I c-bet this flop to 350. I think my opponent's range is often 10s or higher, maybe an ace-king, and he just rips it in for 1200 after I bet the flop. I'm clearly gonna call, hope that no diamonds or ace-king come out. It's a clean run out. I show my hand and he snap mucks. Scooping up a 3K pot. And here's a money shot.
Raise. Screwing these guys out of money. 45.
In this hand, a fun player had just joined the table, and this is the very first hand he plays. I'm gonna leave the audio on for this one.
Welcome to the table. Do you know how to play? Do you know how to play?
No, I forgot how to play, about 10 minutes ago. Well, 20 minutes ago when I left that table.
Raise 130.
So the fun player raises and gets re-raised immediately by the small blind.
130.
130.
Now raise again.
Oh shit.
Raise again.
You know how to play. Crazy.
295.
Oh my gosh.
The player who's 4-betting is known for being an action player who just has a lot of fun at the table. He could have anything at this point. The other player seems to be agonizing. I'm not sure what he has, but it seems like he doesn't think he can fold.
Alright, take it easy.
Heads up.
On a flop of ace-jack 9, I would assume that this improves somebody, but it goes check-check. I guess the 4-better could have kings or queens and not want to bet this flop, but I was surprised that it checked so quickly. Now the small blind's thinking about doing something, and he bets 500.
No,
Players all in.
Are you serious?
go for it.
Aces?
Oh my god.
He could have checked aces on that flop. The small blind asked for a count and it's $2,880.
And a call.
You have aces?
Show me a winner.
The small blind shows ace-king for top pair,
You gotta be kidding me.
and the other player shows 9-7 for 2 pair. I get dealt an ace with everybody's least favorite kicker, a jack. There's a button straddle of 20. I'm going to raise in this spot and I make it $60 to go. The player on my left quickly calls, as does a middle position player, and we go 3 ways to the flop. I flop an ace, that's a good start. I'm going to c-bet this flop, and I bet $100. The player on my left thinks for a little while, and he decides to call, and the other player folds. The turn is a deuce. I decided in this exact hand I was going to check this turn card, give the guy a chance to bet at it, and we also protect against when he has ace-queen. So I check, he thinks for a while and bets 175, and definitely I'm calling. The river's a 4, doesn't change anything. If I check the turn, I'm checking the river, so I do check, and this time the guy thinks a little bit longer. He bets 500, and I'm not folding. I call, what do you got, buddy? Kings? And that's why sometimes we just want to check. Moving on to a fun hand, a middle position player raises to $30, and I call with 2-3 suited in the big blind. I flop trip deuces, good call, Wes. I check. The raiser checks behind. And we go to a turn. It's a 5. I pick up a straight draw to go with trips. I'm going to bet this. I'm going to bet a small because I don't think he has much. I bet $50 and he raises to 125. I've seen this guy min raise probably 3 or 4 times in this session and I'm not having it. I re-raise to 350. Let's get some money in this pot. If you have something, let's go. He thinks for a while, and he decides to call. The river gives me a straight. There is no scenario where I don't have the best hand. I bet $500 and I'm just praying that he calls. Come on, buddy. Call. And now he goes all in for $1,300. Why didn't I just listen to all the pros in the comments telling me not to play 2-3 suited? Well, it's too late now. I call and he immediately says, "You got it, bud." I show my hand and he mucks. Take that, chat pros. And here's a stack update. Looks like I have about $8,000 in my stack at this point. We had 2 tables of 5-5 going and our table broke, so we merged with the other table. And as you can see, everybody has chips at this table. This is going to be a lot of fun. Our fun player, who earlier had 9-7 suited for an all-in pot, left the game for a couple hours and is now back. He bought in for about $2,500 and he's in this hand. The very first hand he sits down and plays. He limped in, he back raised to 620, and now he's been put all in and he calls. The dealer makes the pot right, and it looks like he actually had about $2,100 to start the hand. Let's see the flop. Again, ace jack 9, just like last time. Turn 10, river 10. The first all-in player shows king 4, and the other player shows quads. There's actually no hand analysis I could possibly do on this hand, so I'm just gonna let you guys watch this player drag in a free $2,000. Soon after watching that display of mindless aggression, I picked up pocket 9s in the small blind, and there was a $25 button straddle. I raised 3x, which is my default raise over a straddle. A player in middle position calls. It gets around to the button, who only has to call $50 more, and he's going to call as well. We go 3 ways to the flop with pocket 9s. It's not a horrible flop, there's only 1 over. We should have pretty good equity in a spot like this. I'm gonna bet this flop, act like I have a queen, and see what happens. I bet $140. The player in middle position thinks about it, and he does call. The button folds, so at least now we're heads up, increases our chance of winning. On this turn card, I decided to turn my 9s into a bluff. Maybe it's possible this player will fold a queen jack or queen 10 hand. If he has king queen and clearly ace queen, he's going to continue. And if he has some sort of straight draw, we need to charge him anyway, so I don't mind this bluff. I bet $310, and the player in middle position goes into the tank. This is when I think this is actually going to work. He's going to fold a queen, but then he puts out $310. The river's an 8, so even if he had an 8, which we were beating, he's now ahead. I think I'm done with this hand. I'm gonna check and just hope he checks down some 5-7 hand or something. The last 2 hands I played against this same player, I raised, I had a pair just under the top card, I bet the flop, I check called turn and river, and both times he had that top card. So when he bet 700 here on the river, that's all I can think about is how I've been wrong twice, and I don't see how he has a bluff in this spot. So I decided to fold because I don't beat at anything. I don't beat a queen, I don't beat an 8, I don't beat an ace, and he shows jack 10. We're gonna try something new. In this hand, I'm gonna have a mystery hand that will not be revealed until the end of the hand. I straddled for $50, the small blind calls, it's gonna fold around, and I'm gonna check my option. I'm sure you can eliminate many hands from my range at this point. It's a 9-3-5 flop, and small blind checks. I take a stab for $75, and he calls. Turn is a 10, small blind checks again. I decide to check. The river's a queen. Small blind leads out for $250, and I go in the tank for about 1.5 seconds and I call. He shows ace high, and I show a 5. If you're enjoying this video, please hit the subscribe button. Also hit that like button, I really appreciate it. I have king 9 suited, there's a $25 button straddle. I actually straddled 10 under the gun, and we're allowing the button to re-straddle as long as they put a straddle out that's bigger than the 10, and he put 25, so I made it 75, and he called. I have king 9 of clubs and I flop a 9. I bet $85. Maybe this guy just has jack 10 again. The button calls $85 and we're gonna see a turn. The turn is a 7 of clubs. When he called the flop, this is exactly the kind of card I wanted to see on the turn. Any club. I can now barrel with my pair, and if the river comes another club, we can play a huge pot. I bet $200 and the button goes in the tank before raising, and at this point, I'm actually extremely excited. I want to call and I want to hit a club on the river. If I brick out, I don't care, but I love being in these spots. Let's see a river dealer. Oh, I made a flush. I have the absolute nuts. This never happens to me. So on this river, I think I want to check and see if he will bet. Since I check called the turn and he raised, it's very likely that he should be betting this river card. So I check and he goes in the tank before deciding what to do. He bets $1,050. At this point, each of us had between 5,000 and 6,000. I remember in the hand trying to count his stack and count my stack, and I couldn't really figure out who had the most chips, so I thought for a while, and I'm not going to raise to 3,000 and leave 2,000 behind. So I ripped it in, and he pretty quickly folded jack 10 for the nut straight. The poker gods liked how I played that king 9 hand so much they gave it to me again. In this hand, I'm in the big blind, and the cutoff raises to $30. I call in the big blind with king 9 of hearts. I flop a pair and a gut shot. Any queen gives me a straight. I decide to check. Let's see if the guy's gonna see bet. I do think this is a good board to check raise when you have my exact hand, because a lot of the times when the queen comes and there's 4 to a straight, you're not gonna get paid off, but this time I decided just to call. Boom! I hit my straight on the turn and I pick up a flush draw. I decided to lead out in this hand. I bet $125. You can definitely check raise, you can check call. I decided to lead out to make sure this doesn't go check check and to decide the pot size myself. The river's a 3, a complete brick. Now it's time to bet chunky and see if he calls. When the board allows for your opponent to have many different hands of different strength, it's usually good to go big. I decided to bet $350 here. It's important to keep track of the pot size so that you know when you want to bomb it what exactly the bet needs to be. He does call and we show the bad news. Oh, what was that? Stack update. It still looks like about 8,000 after going up and down in the last few hands. We get the pocket tens. Maybe we can make quads. There's a button straddle of $25, so I make it $75 from the big blind. Under the gun calls. The cutoff raises to $350. This is the player from both jack 10 hands, so we're both super deep in this game. He's got about 5,000 to 6,000, and you saw my stack. In a game like this, you can't be afraid to go with the math. If I can flop a set against this guy, I can win a huge pot, or my pocket tens might just be good. I'm definitely calling $350 when we're this deep. So I call $350. And the under the gun player folds. Flop is 8-5-7, which is a coordinated board, but not really for a 3-bet and a call. I check and he checks behind. Thank you, Jesus! So I definitely have the best hand now, unless this guy is raising with one of his favorite hands, 6-9 or jack 9. I decide to bet the turn for $400. He goes in the tank for quite a long time. He has a tough decision, and eventually he calls with all his small green chips and red chips, which is normally a sign of a weaker hand. It takes him a while to call because he decided not to use 4 of his roughly 60 black chips and instead to use greens and reds. In a normal hand, this river would not be a brick, but in a 3-bet pot, I really don't think this guy has straight. The problem with this river is what can I get called by if I make a bet? From a game theory standpoint, he should actually be checking behind some of his aces and kings and overpairs on this flop, and he would just call the turn. So if he did have those hands, I think he would call this river some percentage of the time. I think I just gotta bet and pray that he calls. I bet $700, and he decides to fold, but we pick up a pretty good pot. At this point in the session, my stack is up to $9,000, and just to give you guys a reference, this session was about 12 hours long, and 10 to 12 hours is pretty normal for us. In this hand, I've got a $50 straddle on the button. The under the gun player raises to $125. I don't have a great hand, but I'm definitely not folding for $75 more. I don't care what you guys say in the comments. Don't tell me I should fold 9-8 offsuit to a raise on the button. He's gonna c-bet and I'm gonna raise. He bets $150. I go into the tank, act like I'm thinking about some sort of draw, and I raise to $400. He's got a decision to make now because my range should actually be stronger than his in this scenario, but if he's got a good hand, he's not folding it. He agrees to call 400 and we go to the turn. That's about as safe as we can get. I'm glad a heart didn't come out or some sort of straight card, so we know we have the best hand at this point. We just have to decide what he will call. We do need to protect against all those draws, so we have to choose a good size. I end up deciding to bet $650. I really just expect him to check call. If he were to raise on this turn card, then I would assume he had slow played some sort of flop straight, but he just calls, so I'm hoping no straight card and no heart on the river. That's all I need. That card doesn't really do anything. If he has a straight somehow, then he had a straight on the flop. He checks, and now it's time to go for value one more time. What do you guys think is a good sizing? I decide on $1,000, and he snap calls on a show, and he shows a set of tens! I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this hand in the comments. One last look at the stack at the end of the game. How much do you think I'm up?
Another roller coaster session up and down, but I was never really stuck in the game. I ended up winning 3,200. Pretty happy with that. Had a few hands that could have gone a different way, but that's poker. Check out the vlog next time to see more crazy action.
Please like this video and subscribe to my channel so that I know I'm doing something you guys like.